How we doing, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Wolf, and welcome back to another Path of Exile build guide. This one's going to be showcasing my Shockwave Totem Chieftain that I've spent a rather long time working on. There is a progression series for this character, if you would like to see me go from literally Blood Aqueducts to all the way to pretty much Tier 10. This is a Tier 9 map I'm going to show you some gameplay in. It's a totem character, it plays pretty simply. If you don't enjoy playing totem characters, you may not enjoy this character, because, you know, pretty much every totem character plays the same. But because of that, you kind of know what you're getting yourself into if you are a fan of totem characters. Now, I do play in solo self-found, so certain pieces of gear and certain difficulties may not exactly be accessible to me. What I mean by that is, maps-wise, I've only done up to tier 11-ish on this character. However, I feel like it can very easily do higher tiers. I've just had none of them drop. You can see the build is operating pretty well. I have other flasks, they're just on other characters because I've been leveling other characters recently. Those are my Quicksilver keys, so you'll have to excuse that. They're actually in my stash right now, I just forgot to grab them. But you can see how totem builds pretty much play. Has a lot of speed. It doesn't have Vol Warchief's level of speed. However, I mean, it can pretty much one-pop packs pretty consistently, or one or two pop packs at least. And you don't really have much to worry about, if I'm entirely honest. Build is rather tanky all in all. I'm still instinctually pressing my Quicksilver key, by the way, if you're curious. I'll take them, thank you. Doesn't really have any mana problems, doesn't really have any survivability problems either. I believe I killed Ziri. I could probably kill Guardians on it too, if I'm honest. But, you know, map drops are not really favoring me. But yeah, character does shit tons of damage. Extremely simple to play, and rather easy to get going as well. Keep in mind I play solo self-found. I did get very lucky with a Soul Mantle drop. That's something not many people in SSF might be able to manage, but I got it from Incursion twice in a row, actually. I got one last league, and I got one this league, both of which were in the armor room, or vaults room, in Incursion. So if you're looking for a Soul Mantle, or looking to play a totem character, you can look there to get results. Let's kill Dominus, and I will showcase the build to you. Let's pop over here. We have double Dominus. Should make things interesting, especially without being able to use Quicksilver flasks. But as you can see, the advantage of totem builds is if you can already have good clear speed, your bossing on totem builds is going to be exceptional, because you drop the totems and you run around, and you have an extra defensive layer of the fact you can dodge everything. It's very nice all around. But that is tier 9 double Dominus down. It was a rare map as well, with double boss and crit, I believe. I can actually show you. I hide my modifiers because it's normally cancer. There's the mods. The build can also do reflect with zero care whatsoever. I will explain why, of course. That's unprofessional. I am trash. I apologize. That was me. That's kind of annoying. Alright, anyways. Let's start off with our gear. There is an entire progression series if you want to see kind of how my character progresses gear-wise. However, most of this will be rather easy to obtain, at least with a little bit of time. The Soul Mantle and Wind Screams that I've got going on here may be a little difficult for those of you playing solo self-found, but I keep at it and things may happen. Otherwise, go for a very hefty life chest piece. That's what I was using for a very long time. My gear is not entirely optimized. I will give you the full optimized variant as we go through it. So to start off, I have a decent-ish wand. Ideally, you'd kind of want a Doriani's Catalyst here, which is the kind of cheaper, simpler variant. The major piece you wanted to go for, or I wanted to go for, was a Fizz as Extra Fire Scepter. But that requires you to get a Shaper Scepter drop, and I set my Atlas up perfectly up in the top right here before they fucked off, so that I could run these back and forth, and I could keep doing Shaper Elder shenanigans over and over. And I never got a Shaper Scepter. So that, I spent like literally 3 days extra just trying to farm for a weapon, and it didn't happen. So if you can manage to buy one or hunt for one, you can get some insane damage there, because Fizz's Extra works on Shockwave Totems. Because Shockwave Totems scales rather awkwardly. I look forward to the Walking the Path episode for me covering that sort of system. However, the main rolls you're looking for on the weapon are spell damage, on the implicit and on the craft if you can, fire damage, and then fire to spells. The physical damage is very wasted. It could have been a lot more optimized, and this wand is pretty shit if I'm honest, but it's what I had at the time, and it kind of makes do. Gem setup wise, Flame Dash, Faster Cast, Arcane Surge 7. Arcane Surge low, right under the amount your Flame Dash costs, so that it procs every single time. Very simple, very self-explanatory. That boosts your Shockwave Totem as well, because Shockwave Totem is countered as a spell, even though it's a red gem that you think would be an attack. It's not. Surprised me too on that one, don't worry. In the helmet slot, I have a Hrimnor's Resolve enchanted with one of 563 useful enchants, surprisingly. There's a lot of enchants, and I somehow managed to land on a useful one for the build, so I kept it. Optimally, you want a Shockwave enchant if possible, but I mean, flammability was the best I was gonna get because there's 500 enchants, and I landed one I can use, so I figured, you know what, fuck it, we'll keep it. The reason this is so important, the enchant not really, but the helmet itself, the fire damage does a lot for you in regards to this. You might even be able to get some mileage out of a bone helmet, because I believe we also take spiritual aid, so you can get mileage there if you're playing SSF and haven't dropped one of these. However, I seem to always drop one every league. I don't know why. Maybe it's my loot seed, who knows. But the fire damage, the max life, and the cannot be chilled or frozen if you use a fire skill recently is very useful. Now, the fire skill doesn't count on Shockwave Totem even after you convert it, but it does count on Flame Dash, so you can break freeze and stuff and ignore freeze. However, I still use a freeze flask just to be safe. Gems wise, I have a portal that I don't really ever cast because I normally have flasks. Righteous Fire, which I would augment, but I'll talk about that in about 2 seconds here. And then a spare Shockwave Totem I was leveling because I'm backpacking a shitload of stuff on this character. I was going to go for a 20 and then a 21, but, you know, the new league's been announced, so I kind of want to wrap things up. But, yeah, was planning on going for a 21. No dice there. Now, most of you might think, well, if you're going to use Righteous Fire and use Vol Righteous Fire for more damage, why don't you augment this with burning damage and all this sort of stuff and just make it do more damage? Well, you see, Ancestral Bond makes you do no damage with anything except totems. We're using Ancestral Bond to get 4 totems going. So because of that, Vol RF is pretty much just there for the spell damage. Doesn't do anything else at all. So as a result, you don't need to really invest into RF or anything like that. You can just kind of throw it in, level it up. I got a quality on it because it's kind of cool for spell damage. Quality on this is actually pretty good because of the increased spell damage. But yeah, I mean, it's just kind of an extra thing. So going over to my shield, this is arguably the most important point of the build. I have a +1 number of Summoned Totems shield. Hitting this craft on stream was pretty hilarious because it has very good max life and then very good resistances, as well as getting +1 number of maximum Summoned Totems. This is the main craft you're aiming for. It was originally a Betrayal craft, and then they moved it to Shaper, which makes me very happy. It pissed some people off, but it made it genuinely more accessible for my SSF playing, because I don't do Betrayal much, and Betrayal broke my game for the first month and a half. So yeah, that kind of ruled out that possibility. So this makes it a lot more accessible for your boy and for anyone playing SSF. So that's a fantastic craft to aim for. I rolled this, I believe, with an essence, the 99 life essence, if I remember correctly. A life fossil would also work quite well, just rolling over and over and over again till you hit a decent life roll and +1 number of Summoned Totems. Gonna take some luck and some effort, but you'll get there in the end. I believe in you. Choose a good choose a good shield base as well. This is better than Tukahama's Fortress because Tukahama's Fortress forces you to go blood magic, which means you lose all of your auras. So, I mean, if you want to plan around it, but auras are just too good in this game, man, I swear. And in here we have Summon Stone Golem with Cast When. These are both leveled, so we can have Kevin going, giving us a shit ton of healing. 103 life regeneration per second is always quite nice. Necklace is a cast speed life piece with extra stats. I take this off and my entire gear set breaks. Pretty self-explanatory. That's just pretty much my necklace. You can use a Zophs here, you can use an Impresence here. I think an Impresence is the best way to go, so you can Blasphemy Flammability. I think that's definitely the best option, because my curse application is a little every now and then, so I think an Impresence, Fire Impresence is the best way to go. But yeah. Rings are rarity, life, res, very good life, very good res, problem solvers. Opals is the goal. Opals with this well overalls would be fantastic. However, I didn't get any opal drops. I didn't get anything of note like that. I got 1 crystal belt and 1 marble amulet out of all of my efforts. I didn't even get any fingerless silks, which is why I don't have any on. But yeah, my RNG in that regard's been kinda shitty. So aim for opals with fire damage, cast speed, and that sort of stuff. Cast speed is very, very important for DPS on Shockwave Totem. Placement speed is also an option. You can craft that in these 2 slots, I believe. The other ring is life, rarity, and mana regeneration. Maximum mana is actually very, very nice because you cost quite a bit with totems. So that's why I'm using an instant hybrid flask, because I'm not using this as a life restoration flask, it's a mana restore flask instantly. So I drop all my totems, I press the flask, and it fixes my mana problems, which is very nice, because I'm used to playing Berserker with totems, which just solves its own mana problems. Wasn't able to do that this time, so I had to kind of make something up on the spot. Alright, into the main event, we have ourselves a Shockwave Totem with Controlled Destruction, Concentrated Effect, Elemental Focus, and added Fire Support. This is going to be in a Soul Mantle for the +1 number of summoned totems. Oh, but Wolf inflicts a random curse whenever your totems die. Curse Immune Flask! And then you can literally just, you can kill everything, you can pop the flask, everything disappears. It's pretty magical, I know. Negate the entire point of Soul Mantle with 1 flask, while still getting bonus damage. It's pretty good all around. But yeah, so you kind of need that if you want to run this. If you don't want to run this, that's perfectly fine too. It's very, very good. It pushes my damage up to 1.2 million, I believe, in total. As concurrent DPS with all totems up, which is exceptional. But you can alternatively run a very hefty life piece here if you want to. Over here, my previous chest piece was a 5-link astral plate with max life, increased max life, percent life regen, and plus max life armor as a craft. And that served me very, very well. This was 1 life fossil. 1 life fossil on red bases are very good normally, because you can get the plus life, hybrid life, and then the fossil percent life. You can get some insane ghetto Combs hearts out of singular life fossils. Trust me, it's what I do in SSF all the time. But yeah, that served me very well, and would serve you very well as well. Armor is very nice as well. However, I can supplement armor from the shield to keep myself alive. And I don't actually have a full-on life flask, and surprisingly, the character doesn't take much damage. For some reason, I don't know. It just really doesn't take much damage. It's really good all around. But yeah, so boots-wise, we have Wind Screams, because we have a Flammability set up here, with Flammability, Cast When, and an Immortal Call to keep us nice and tanky. However, we also have a Blasphemy Temp Chains. This is a bit of a technique I stole off of someone else. That works very, very well, and is part of the reason we don't get hit very often, is that everything is slowed down by 25-ish%. So, yeah, nothing really gets to hit you, or by the time the attacks come out, if you're going at a decent pace, they've already died. This is a technique I'm probably going to steal for other builds, if I'm entirely honest, later on. This would work very well on melee types of characters that I'll be working on very, very soon. So I might be using that in regards to those techniques as well. However, that's part of why I'm using the Wind Screams, to keep the defensiveness up whilst keeping the DPS up. You can also run a double blasphemy of Temp Chains, and what am I trying to say? Temp chains and flammability, or you can run flammability off of the presence, a what is it? Temp chains, blasphemy, and then blasphemy LE weakness if you pick up the node up at the top near minion instability, so you can get 3 curses. That would be spectacular all in all, because then you get massive amounts of damage and keep the survivability. Or you can go for flam and LE weakness if you want to just go max damage and cut out the survivability stuff. Both options are viable. I wanted to try and get to 90-ish on this character. Got to 87. But to do that, I wanted to stay alive longer. So that was what did that. Now, in regards to the other pieces of gear, I have belt with life and very good resist rolls, as well as an abyss socket that has fist of spells and max life. Fist of spells in jewels will do massive amounts of damage for you. In regards to Shockwave Totem, it will even beat out a god roll totem jewel, like totem percent damage. It beats that too. So yeah, you're going to want to aim for fizz to spells. And my gloves are max life, res, minion damage, and then melee damage. It should be fingerless silks here, but they never drop for me. So sad life. But yeah, minions deal increased damage, synergizes with our spiritual aid. So yeah, skill tree is pretty simple, pretty standard Marauder stuff. I'm going to move it over so you guys can actually see it and my face doesn't block the way. But you start off with the basic life, you come up, you get your totem here while you're leveling, and then if you want more life you can cut across down here. My recommended start early on is to rush up here, get your Avatar of Fire, then go get your Chieftain, so you can get your Nagamu's Flame Advance for 100% conversion to make leveling very, very easy and just storming through the rest of the world. And then from there on, you kind of pick up whatever you need. Damage down here, damage here, get Ancestral Bond. If you want a leveling path, go for Avatar of Fire first, then Ancestral Bond. Then damage over here and damage over here. And then after you get this damage, get some mana to make sure you can actually stay on par in regards to the mana situation. Get a hybrid flask by this point, or you're going to have a bad time. And then, yeah, after that, you get a lot of life in this build, surprisingly. You don't get as much damage as I'm used to getting. Now, the only thing that is not as needed, really, is LA Overload until later, because proccing LA Overload with this build is kind of a bit fucked. If you like doing the Orb of Storms scenario, where you just recast Orb of Storms over and over and over again, you can do that if you want to, but from what I've seen, the totems don't actually proc LA Overload at all. Even with crit chance left over, you can take out the Control Destruction and it still won't proc it, because it's totems, so it doesn't proc for you, which is kind of annoying. But Flame Dash, surprisingly, can proc your LA Overload. It's a bit fucking weird, but it works. So if you want to proc your Overload reliably, you can Flame Dash into a pack, drop a totem on top of you, and it could proc your LA Overload. Alternatively, play Orb of Storms, play it that way, do it however you please. It's just, yeah, be a little worried about that sort of scenario. One other thing is that I'm not sure if I cut Amplify or not in the actual character. Did I cut Amplify? No, I didn't, surprisingly. I messed around with going fully AoE in regards to this character, and it didn't really matter, if I'm honest with you. I went full AoE. I cut out Conk Effect in place of AoE. I took every AoE node on the tree. I did AoE crafts. I was even looking for a Carcass Jack. And the totems pretty much covered the whole screen, but the change in damage from Conk Effect to AoE is not worth the screen clear. Just genuinely. Because it's better to just drop 2 totems side by side that do a shitload of damage than to have the AoE. Because I found that when I was running AoE, bosses were taking about more than 2 seconds to die, which was mildly annoying in this build scenario. So, with putting on Conk Effect, you didn't really notice it. You kind of adapted to it, and that's the biggest thing about AoE nodes in Path of Exile. If you can notice losing it, it's annoying, alright? Or the skill has problems, or the skill's annoying. Now, in regards to Shockwave Totem, after playing with Conk Effect for more than like 2 hours, I thought I still had AoE in, and I went to change it out on a boss, and I was like, oh shit, I have Conk Effect and not AoE. Okay, I'll just roll with it. This AoE's fine. And that's when I realized I didn't really need to fully invest in it. A few things to get, though, will be placement speed wherever you can. Actually going on the side here to get placement speed is very good as well. You don't need too much of it, though, but a little bit of it is very, very nice. I believe there's placement speed on Sham Fury and placement speed on one of these nodes here, if I remember correctly. But placement speed, very useful. There's 10% there, and another 15 up here. That's roughly all you need, but on recasted totems, you definitely need something. But yeah, I mean, all in all, pretty simple. The biggest damage multiplier for this is surprisingly going to be spell damage and Fizz as extra fire. Because the spell does Fizz damage, however, it's also counted as a spell. It's a bit weird. It's a little bit weird, but I'll talk about that more in the Walking the Path section. That's going to bring us to the end of this this build guide. Hope you guys did enjoy. Stay tuned for the 10 to 15 minutes of gameplay of this character if you want to see even more, as well as the Walking the Path episode, where I cover going into detail of the many days I spent working on this character and all of the information regarding Shockwave Totem. That's going to be all for me, and as always, take care, gentlemen.